got a score to settle with that son of a bitch.
Devil May Cry.
What's up guys, my name is RBG and we are back with more coverage on Devil May Cry 5. If you guys have been following news regarding this year's Tokyo Game Show, you know it's been somewhat of a tumultuous time for Capcom. All of the news revolving around Devil May Cry 5 seemed to be going smoothly until that momentum was shifted after fans voiced their disappointment with Dante's new theme, Subhuman. Before we get into the recent commotion, I'd like to remind you that this video was sponsored by Molno. Since you guys have supported this channel, I've linked up with Molno to give you their brand new gaming mouse. It features a high FPS rate, 7 different switches such as the back and forward buttons, an adjustable DPI, micro switches backed with LED lights, and much more. The shipping and handling averages around $5 depending on your location. The link will be in the description box below, so make sure you jump on that while the offer lasts. But as I was saying, after the immense backlash the newly unveiled theme for Dante received, Capcom immediately took the video down. Or so I thought. While my video on this topic was rendering, word came out that fans brought up credible reports to Capcom's attention regarding Suicide Silence's lead singer's sexual misconduct with a minor. When contacted about these allegations, Capcom issued a statement saying this: "The music was recorded for the game before the incident came to light and we were unaware of the incident until now. However, as we are now aware of the current situation, Capcom has decided that moving forward, we will not further highlight the Dante battle theme for promotional purposes at this time. We are also currently evaluating the options that are possible for the full game at this point, which is dependent on various factors such as resources." So yeah, I just wanted to address that issue before I segued into the more exciting news. Thankfully, after this unfortunate mishap, Capcom was able to revamp the enthusiasm of the fans by releasing a gameplay trailer for Dante. And man does it deliver. For weeks we have been getting little snippets of how the legendary Demon Hunter will play in this game. It wasn't until Gamescom trailer that we found out that the peculiar motorcycle we saw Dante riding in the reveal trailer was actually a devil arm. And it was nothing short of awesome. Hours later, the official Devil May Cry 5 Japanese Twitter account revealed the names of all the armaments that have been shown in the trailer. Thanks to Google Translate, we were able to see what each weapon entails. But since certain words in Japanese have a different connotation in English, there were a few grammatical errors, so I'll do my best conveying what they say. One of the first weapons to be expounded on was obviously Dante's Rebellion, a sword which has been a trademark weapon for Dante since its inception in Devil May Cry 2. As we all know, the magically imbued blade was given to him by his father Sparda and is mysteriously linked to his demonic powers. It's said to be very easy to wield by Dante, enabling him to perform a small number of quote-unquote Ren slashes. I'm not sure what Ren properly translates to in Japanese, but it sounds like it allows Dante to perform a wide variety of moves. As you can see by the footage, most of the techniques we've come to love are present and accounted for. We see Dante performing things from his standard 3-hit slash to a trickster teleport followed by his helm breaker, and the million stab looks more brutal than ever before. What I love the most is how each animation has been given a good level of detail, specifically the lighting and particle effects. Of course, this is nothing new because we've seen the Rebellion give off red glows of ferocity in earlier entries, but in this game you notice some of the more subtle details like heat and debris emanating from the blade as he cuts enemies. Everything seems to be meticulously crafted, especially Rebellion's design. Since we're on the topic of aesthetics, I'd like to briefly mention that Rebellion bears a closer resemblance to its DMC2 version, which is very ironic since the executive producer Matt Walker has confirmed that this entry takes place after the events of Devil May Cry 2, which for the longest time was said to be at the tail end of the DMC timeline. And this really shows that the team is trying to show consistency. If you look closely, you'll notice that the Rebellion has become dark black as opposed to the usual gray with the greenish hue. Upon further observation, I noticed that unlike its earlier incarnations, the grip has a rough exterior that creates the illusion of veins as opposed to the usual smooth look. And the spine going down the crossguard extends even further than before. These aesthetic changes make me insinuate that this is an advanced version of DMC2's Rebellion, a double-edged claymore that's constantly evolving as Dante's demon powers do. Speaking of demonic powers, this brings us to our next topic, the Double Trigger. I originally stated in my breakdown of the leaked footage that I had a minor issue with its design. It felt lackluster compared to other versions which visually displayed how powerful Dante has become in each game. The overall look felt like it had been lifted directly from Devil May Cry 4. He has the same sculpt and cracks on his chest that create the illusion that he was a walking furnace. Many agreed with me, but there were a few who pointed out that this form was way more different than I thought. Unbeknownst to me at the time, Capcom had an art book that featured DT concepts that didn't make it into DMC4, and one of them was the perfect/ultimate Double Trigger. It seems like the design team took some of those aesthetic elements and sort of streamlined them into the version we have now. Besides the absence of the long horns and tail, everything else is there, mainly the wings, which have these cool looking patterns on them. If this is the same DT form from the unused concepts, it's gonna be very OP. According to the art book, the perfect devil trigger is so powerful it surpasses that of the Dark Knight Sparta. So that says a lot about how powerful Dante has become. Hell, the Majin form was already considered one of the most powerful, but now we have a form that's even more badass than that. As you can see by the trailer, all of Dante's moves are amplified, from his stinger, which enables him to strike multiple enemies, to his invulnerability. Upon making this video, I noticed in new footage that you can now fly for a short amount of time without the aid of any devil arms or amulets like in previous entries. But moving on, the next thing on the list is Dante's trademark dual pistols, Ebony and Ivory. A standard issue sidearm that was made in the year 1911, hence the name M1911. Unlike the originals, Ebony and Ivory are designed for rapid fire with bullets imbued with Dante's demonic energy. As mentioned in previous videos, these advanced weapons were made by legendary gunsmith Nell Goldstein. In the official Devil May Cry manga, Nell ran a shop called 45 Caliber Works. She worked with Dante during his early tenure as a demon hunter. What I find ironic is that Nell and Dante shared a very snarky trash talk friendship similar to Nico and Nero. In the trailer, it shows that this is the first time Dante has met with his late friend's granddaughter as she introduces herself and explains the history of his guns.
Whoa, you are the infamous Dante. My grandmother is Nell Goldstein, the gunsmith that made all your fancy weapons.
As Dante looks down at his weapons, you'll notice the names Ebony and Ivory engraved on them in cursive along with piano keys. And you have the faces of the characters on the handles. But the most interesting detail is what's engraved on the outward sides of each pistol. Although it's somewhat blurry in the trailer, you'll notice that it says, "For Tony Redgrave by 40 Artworks." For those out of the know, Tony Redgrave was a secret alias Dante went by to mask his true identity. Ironically enough, Redgrave is the name of the main city the DMC team will be adventuring in this game. But anyways, it seems like all the common weapons we know will make a return, including Dante's sawed-off shotgun, which seems to undergo modifications. I now want to elaborate on the newer weapons because this is where things get really insane. The first one we gotta talk about is the newer Devil Arm gauntlets, because there seems to be a bit of confusion regarding them. Now we all know that gauntlets have been a thing since Devil May Cry's inception. We've had Devil Arms like Ifrit, which allows Dante to perform fiery kicks and punches, and Gilgamesh that allows the wielder to deliver devastating attacks by charging them up. This new Devil Arm seems to have both of those skill sets. What I find weird is how the aesthetics change depending on Dante's actions. If he performs punches, these spiky shoulder pauldrons appear, but when he performs kicks, they're gone. Seeing this leads me to believe that the developers probably integrated technique switching for each Devil Arm. For the longest time, all of the gauntlets attacks have been mapped to the triangle button, which in my opinion made the variety of kicks and punches rather limited at times, with the exception of a few being more accessible while the Swordmaster style is in use. But now it seems like we're able to perform moves at our own leisure. It also looks like you can perform specific dodges. If you look at the trailer footage, you'll notice that Dante swiftly dodges attacks from these demons shortly before he attacks them with capoeira style kicks. I'm not sure how this will work, but my guess is that all 4 devil styles will now attribute to the devil arms you use as opposed to only having extra moves through Swordmaster. According to the DMC Twitter page, the gauntlets are called Balrog. It says that this weapon will feature 2 different modes, one being kicks and the other being punches. Each mode is pretty self-explanatory. Kick mode enables you to perform powerful kicks, while the blow mode is said to emphasize speed with a wide array of punches. The next armament we have is the transformable bite, Cavalier. Now this weapon has arguably been one of the most talked about devil arms in the DMC community because there were so many speculations going around regarding its origin. Many have theorized that it could possibly be the same bike Dante drove into the underworld at the end of DMC 2, and others were assuming that it was another form of the transforming briefcase, Pandora. All of those were pretty awesome speculations, but completely wrong. Thanks to the TGS Dante demo, we now know that the powerful weapon is attained after defeating the Voltic Black Knight, Cavalier Angelo. A pretty epic battle featuring an even more epic demon. I don't think I can show the footage since Capcom doesn't want to spoil the cutscenes, but there's this moment when Cavalier Angelo's armor breaks off, pieces of it forged with this beat up motorcycle, transforming it into the powerful weapon we've seen throughout all the trailers. The Twitter bio says it's a special armament of weight grade born from Cavalier magic. The rotation of the wheel parts give intermittent damage. The handle is divided into 2 axes which can be treated like giant twin swords. It can also be used to run over demons with its sharp ram and wheel blade. In addition, the blade of the wheel rotates like chainsaws. This is definitely going to be one of those weapons that has a huge emphasis on speed and power. Now the last weapon I want to talk about is a big one, because Dante's once again wielding the Awakened Force Edge, also known as Sparta Sword. This is the second time we've seen him use this weapon with its unlocked potential. We saw him use it to stop the powerful Emperor of Darkness, Mundus, in DMC 1, but nowadays it's sort of become an afterthought and it's mostly used by Trish. and I absolutely hate that. If this is arguably the most powerful weapon in your arsenal, why give it to a demon who already has electric powers along with her own dual pistols? The last time I checked, Sparta chooses the individual who uses it, so why Trish? It just boggles my mind. Thankfully, the sword is returned to the hands of its rightful owner. In some of my more recent videos, I mentioned that Dante may have been seen with Sparta in the Gamescom trailer. Many viewers shot the theory down since the mysterious item on his back looked completely different from the Sparta we're so used to seeing, but the different look seems to be deliberate. Sparta looks to have gone some drastic changes. Although it still has that fleshly organic tissue along the top of the blade, it now has these bones protruding out of it. Seeing Dante using it pretty much confirms some of my theories I came up with in my analysis of the leaked footage. I won't delve into it since I don't want to spoil the story, but let's just say it's quite impactful once you see it. What I will say is that all the transforming techniques for Sparta are back and look more brutal than ever. I specifically like how the organic demon flesh has this disgusting look to it when it transforms into something like a scythe. But with all the weapon analysis out of the way, I'd like to elaborate on a certain character who we've been waiting to see since the announcement, and that is the newly introduced protagonist, V. The DMC Twitter account mentions that he's a key component to the story, but his motives are a mystery. At the end of the trailer, Dante's business partner Morrison introduces V as a new client, and right off the bat you'll notice that he's a rather enigmatic character. He sort of puts me in the mind of previous characters like Arkham and Agnes, especially with the mysterious book he reads from.
He who desires but act not breeds pestilence. So it is written.
A quote from famous poet William Blake's book, The Marriage of Heaven and Hell. It's ironic that William's work keeps making their way into my breakdowns and theories. Just the other day, I was discussing how the King of Demons Urizen may be a reference to Blake's prophetic book entitled The Book of Urizen. Noticing this makes me think that I may be onto something. I want to delve deeper into what V's purpose is, but I'm afraid it'll have to be for another video. So far, we've gotten a lot of awesome announcements like online multiplayer, which I'm guessing will be for Dante, Nero, and V. And then there's the official reveal for Lady and Trish. I gotta admit, while I love their overall designs, I do have minor gripes. Like how Lady seems to look more de-aged compared to her Devil May Cry 4 look. She has this weird baby face and her voice sounds like that of a teenager. I know that she's had a different voice actress for all of the entries, and I didn't necessarily mind it since each of these voices were fitting for her age. But I really feel like they should have kept the voice actor from part 4 to stay consistent. As far as Trish is concerned, the only issue I have with her is her weird looking face. It just looks off. Like, what the hell? I'm pretty sure the creative team picked a beautiful model to base her on, but sometimes scanned up faces don't translate well into video games, especially when facial captures are performed by a different person. I'm not sure if that's the case, but Capcom really needs to fix that issue. I'm just saying. But with that, I'd like to end this video. I know Nero had a few moments in the latest trailer, but I think we've seen enough footage and coverage on him. But I'd like to hear your thoughts if you have any. What do you think of Dante's new gameplay? Do you like the newly introduced Devil Arms? And how do you think the new character V will play? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on future content. But if you really enjoyed the video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it on social media platforms with all your friends and followers. I love what I do and I do it all for you guys. Once again, this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.